All right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to MIT Sloan. My name is Tommaso Canetta, and I'm Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Sloan School. I want to welcome you all to campus this morning. I know we also have a bunch of folks who are logged in online viewing our live stream this morning, so welcome to all of you, and good morning or good evening, whatever time it might be, wherever you're logging in. We're excited to have you join us this morning for our presentation. So in just a few moments, I'll introduce a group of current students and alumni who have joined us this morning, and they'll be sharing their MIT Sloan experience with you all. Before we do that, though, I want to show just a short video to introduce Sloan to you all and talk about some of the opportunities here through the lens of some of our recent students.
My MIT Sloan is exciting.
There's a lot of reasons to get an MBA from MIT Sloan. The reasons that brought me here, first and foremost, is culture. People are amazing, they're incredibly open and incredibly accomplished, and humble on top of it. I chose to come to MIT Sloan's Leaders for Global Operations program. We earn an MBA from MIT Sloan and a Master's of Science in Engineering. I'm in the Mechanical Engineering department, and I'm focusing on sustainable manufacturing.
My MIT Sloan is spending 2 years with the most amazing people I've ever met.
Going through the core was tough, but invigorating. And so coming out of it, I feel far more prepared for the business world.
So every single assignment reminds me that it takes a village to get things done. And I really love the collaborative aspect.
The Global Entrepreneurship Lab, otherwise known as GLab here, was the most incredible experience of my time at MIT Sloan. It culminated in a month on site in Brazil.
The sustainability certificate was really interesting to me. The Sustainability Lab pairs you with companies that are looking to partner with Sloan students on really exciting sustainability-related projects.
My MIT Sloan is starting a startup over lunch.
The Sloan Senate has been a really fun way to get to know different students, all within Sloan's different programs. This spring, I'm helping to plan something called Sloan Olympics, which is exactly what it sounds like.
So I got involved in Hacking Arts. Hacking Arts is a conference that focuses on the intersection of the arts and technology. It's also a great way for me to feel like I was contributing to the MIT Sloan community immediately.
The MIT Sloan Club has also offered a lot of professional opportunities by giving us access to different companies that are interested in diversity, but also in showing us how we can ensure that in the future we can apply to anywhere we want to be.
My MIT Sloan is my favorite community. These are friends and networks that I'm building for the rest of my career and the rest of my lifetime.
The culture here is so warm, it's incredibly diverse. I found out that not only my class, but also my teachers and everybody that works here are actually very concerned about me thriving in this MBA program.
My MIT Sloan is amazing. My dreams are even bigger now that I've been here. I really want to take on issues of urban poverty and see how we can use innovation, startups, and small businesses to really get communities together and make it work. One of the most important things to me is being an inspirational leader to the people that I work with and generally make a difference in the world.
Personally, I have a passion for emerging markets and entrepreneurship. My goal long term is to try and get access and change lives in these markets, and I believe MIT Sloan has set me in the right path and given me the right tools to do this in the near future.
My MIT Sloan is everything.
need that energy on Monday morning. All right, so hopefully that gives you a good little introduction to Sloan. Building off of that, in just a second, I'm going to invite our alums and students to join me for the panel. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking a lot about the numbers and all the statistics. I know you've all got our great brochures and have probably spent a lot of time on our website learning about those. So we really want to focus on allowing our students and alums to share their stories and their experiences today. And so hopefully that'll help you get a sense of the Sloan community and the culture and the experience here, and help you identify whether that's the right fit for you. So with that, our students and alums want to come up and grab seats. So we're going to start just with introductions. So we'll just go down the line. You can let us know who you are. You're an alum or a student. You're an alum when you graduated, what you were doing before Sloan, and what you're doing now. And for the current students, your summer internships, or if you have your post plans in place yet.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. It's so fantastic to start the holiday season week off with each of you, and for those who are also live streaming. My name is Jen Chutak. I am an alum from the class of 2012. I was at Sloan for 3 years doing the dual HKS MPA alongside the MBA program. Before Sloan, ironically, my position was an MBA admissions director at the University of Hawaii when I decided I wanted to get the MBA for myself. So I made the move from Oahu to Cambridge, came and did the program. My summer internship was with Deloitte Consulting, and I ended up joining them full-time. So they paid for my second year of business school, and I now, 5 years later, and still with Deloitte, I moved into their social impact consulting, so I'm part of the Monitor Institute by Deloitte. So looking forward to getting to chat a little bit more this morning.
Hey everybody, hope you guys have gotten the coffee outside and ready to go. It hasn't been this cold outside either, so if you guys aren't from Boston, it is, you're coming at the right time. My name is Agya Mathur. I'm a second year Sloan MBA. I am loving every minute of it, and it's going by way too fast. I came from actually Deloitte Consulting. I was there for about 5 years in their commercial strategy and operations group. I am now, since about April or May, have been pursuing my own startup. So the summer I actually spent in Hong Kong. We're incubated by MIT's Hong Kong Innovation Node. And I am still working on that and planning to work on it full time after school as well.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Sean Gooden. I did 8 years in the Army, so go Army, beat Navy. And then this summer I did investment banking on the West Coast. I'm in tech banking, and I'm still currently in the hunt.
Awesome. Morning everyone, John Girardelli, alumni, graduated in 2014. Prior to Sloan, I worked on Wall Street and then for a large private equity firm. And then currently I work for American Tower Corporation. I run our real estate group. It's the largest REIT. We own cell phone towers basically around the world.
Hi, I'm Alex Unger. I'm a second year LGO, so I'm pursuing MBA through Sloan and Mechanical Engineering Masters. I came from Anheuser-Busch. I was working there for about 4 years in one of their breweries in New Hampshire before I started here. So I made the heartbreaking decision to go back to school instead of staying there. And then now just looking at different options and trying to make my decision full time.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. My name is Danielle Russell. I'm an alum, class of 2015, and a proud Caribbean. Yes. You'll learn that cohorts are a very big part of Sloan. Before Sloan, I was at State Street on their foreign exchange desk in Boston and London, then came to Sloan for an amazing 2 years. After Sloan, or during my summer and then after Sloan, I worked at BCG, and then recently rejoined State Street in their global strategy group. So very happy to be here with you all this morning.
Great, thank you. So a couple of topics that I want to cover this morning as we talk about the Sloan experience, and we start on the academic side of things. So the MBA program here at Sloan, 2-year full-time program, but offers students a tremendous amount of flexibility. So we have just a one semester core, which is a little bit unique. So in your first semester, you'll complete your core requirements. And once those are completed, you then have 3 semesters that are purely electives. So 75% of your time in the classroom at Sloan is really up to you to direct. And so it really allows students, as you've heard, with a diverse set of interests, post-MBA, but also a diverse set of backgrounds pre-MBA, to really explore those areas academically that they're most interested in or that make the most sense based on their backgrounds and their goals after Sloan. So beyond sort of all that flexibility, there are also a few ways to add some structure to the curriculum. So we offer tracks and certificates. So there are tracks offered in finance, enterprise management, and entrepreneurship and innovation. And then there are certificates that are offered in healthcare, in sustainability, and then our newest one, which was just launched this year, is in analytics. So for students who have interest in any of those areas, they can select those tracks or certificates. They're optional, so certainly don't need to. But I think it would be great if a couple of you could just comment on sort of the overall flexibility of the curriculum and how it allowed you to shape your academic experience based on your interests. And if any of you did any of the tracks or certificates, you want to comment on your experience in those.
There you go. I'll go. So I think the flexible curriculum is one of the best things here. I came in, I think, it's a little ways back, so help me refresh my memory, but I think I signed up for every track and every certificate you could, and then I realized that you don't really need to do any of that, and it's kind of structured chaos here, and that's the way that it should be. And so for me, it's kind of choose your own adventure. You take whatever you want, whenever you want it. And you guys will be surprised that your interests and your passions will change as you meet more people and get exposed to different classes and subjects. So I think not being kind of barred down in a certain path and being able to be flexible throughout your 2 years here is something that when you look back at it, it's actually pretty cool.
And I just wanted to give a shout out for the second and third order effects of having only a 1 semester core. In your second semester of your first year, that means that you actually get to take classes with the second year students. And same when you're a second year, you're meeting the first year students. So there is tremendous overlap, and you just have that much more ability to get to know your classmates and to network and build relationships. Whereas if the core took the entire year, you would only take classes with other students in your class, and that's the whole time you were there at Sloan, that's all you need. So it works out really well for who you get to meet and become friends with for lifelong relationships.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's also really helpful. You heard some of our panelists use the MBA to pivot to transition careers. How many of you in the audience here are planning to make a career switch of some sort? Most of you, yeah. So about 85% of our students use the MBA to pivot in some way. And so having that flexibility really allows you to start exploring early in your first year those areas that might be of interest. And if you maybe do your internship and realize that's not what you maybe want to pivot into, you still have plenty of time after that also to continue to explore those areas through all of those electives. The second piece I want to highlight, which is really unique to Sloan, and I think one of the biggest advantages for our students is the opportunity to really collaborate, but to really take full advantage of all that MIT has to offer. Not just MIT Sloan, but MIT as an institute. We are MIT School of Management, and we really encourage our students to really take advantage of that. There's a lot of different ways in which you'll see that. So certainly academically. So Alex mentioned the LGO program, the Leaders for Global Operations. Again, that's a dual degree where you earn your MBA and a Master's in Engineering from one of 7 engineering departments across MIT in just 24 months. We also offer a dual degree with MIT's Department of Urban Studies and Planning, where in 3 years you can earn your MBA from Sloan and a Master's in City Planning from DUSP. We also offer the HKS dual degree that Jen mentioned, which is a 3-year program, dual MBA and Master's in Public Administration or Public Policy from the Harvard Kennedy School. Beyond that, you can cross-register. You can take up to 3 classes outside of Sloan from any of MIT's graduate departments as well as any of Harvard's graduate schools over the course of your 2 years. So if there are particular areas of interest beyond what's offered here at Sloan, gives you that opportunity to explore those. You have access to all of MIT's centers and resources. So I'm sure Augie will talk about this, but the Trust Center, the Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship is MIT's hub for entrepreneurship. So you see a lot of Sloan students getting involved there, collaborating with students from across the campus on different startup ventures and ideas. You have the MIT Media Lab, where they're doing all sorts of really crazy, amazing research and developing new digital technologies, and there's great opportunities to take classes or to get involved with the faculty over there. There's a Sloan class called Innovation Teams where you can advise them on sort of commercializing some of the products that they're developing there. And then, of course, conferences, speaker series, clubs, everything you can think of that's offered across MIT, you have access to as a Sloan student. So enough for me, but would a few of you want to talk about the ways that you took advantage of the opportunities, being here at MIT to collaborate across the campus, either academically or outside the classroom?
Yeah, so as an LGO, I have to take about 4 mechanical engineering classes, and in my first fall, I got to take a complex systems design class that was mostly students from the mechanical engineering department, both graduate and undergraduate. We ended up working on a project based around smart meter technology, and got to go into the lab of one of the doctoral research candidates and use some of his technology in our project. So that was a really cool way to get involved in the lab side of things. And again, you don't have to be in the engineering program to go take these classes. A lot of them will transfer across to Sloan for credits. I do have some friends in the program who are taking some Course 6 classes. They really want to learn programming while they're here and take advantage of that skill that MIT offers. And some in the humanities as well, some writing courses and things like that.
I haven't cross-registered or taken advantage of any of the actual academic portion, even though when I started I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to take other classes at MIT. But there are a lot of opportunities within the classroom, even at Sloan, where some classes are actually restricted to like a third, Sloan MBA's third, engineers and third others. So that's been a unique opportunity, but I've actually worked across campus. That's actually one of the main reasons why I came to Sloan. I was really excited about the mission of like one MIT, and that's something I didn't see at most other schools that I visited. So I was really excited about that, and I'm taking advantage of it in full force. The startup I'm working on, I'm actually one of 2 MBAs, and then we have a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, 2 software engineers or computer science engineers, and then 1 designer from Harvard Graduate School of Design. So we're kind of using the whole ecosystem pretty effectively, I think, and it's been a really great opportunity. And I think one piece that Tomas introduced was that the conferences and opportunities and clubs to get involved. I think that's something that a lot of people don't recognize before they come in. I know that's something that a lot of my classmates and I have been saying was kind of almost undersold. They're really cool opportunities to get involved across campus, things that Sloan runs or things that other parts of the campus runs in terms of conferences, clubs, whatever it might be. And then also there's opportunities over IAP. IAP is the Independent Activities Period. Yeah, it's coming up now. You get about, I want to say close to 8 weeks off between the end of exams, if you even have exams after your first year, until school starts in February. And so there's a lot of opportunities then as well to do different things to collaborate. So I actually did the MIT Entrepreneurship and Maker Skills Integrator. I always have to think about that one. And basically they take 15 kids from Hong Kong universities and 15 kids from all across MIT's graduate and undergraduate programs, ship them off to Hong Kong for a few weeks, and it's basically a hardware boot camp for startups. So that was a really awesome experience to meet people from across school as well.
Awesome, and I just wanted to add one more thing to build on what Anya said around the conferences that are available here. So I guess as a tangent, one of the things that Maura Herson, who I'm not sure if you've interacted with yet, but I'm sure you will, she said that we pick our class size very specifically. It's 400 people in your class, and we pick that number because we think it's actually reasonable for you to get to know every single person in a meaningful way. So both 400 in your class and then give or take 100 or so in the class above you or below you. So I think that's a really cool opportunity. But that class size also gives you the opportunity to really take on leadership roles in a meaningful way as well. So my big contribution to Sloan was the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, which I hadn't really heard of before coming here, despite being a sports junkie. But this is a industry-wide conference, attendees from around the world. My year we had 3,000 people, some of the biggest names, some of the biggest commissioners in sports. And as a student, in addition to your classwork, you're actually able to put on this professional, world-renowned conference. And I think that is very special to Sloan. Not many places have that type of forum, but also give those type of leadership opportunities and positions to students. So I think that's something that is very unique and would encourage you to get involved in those types of opportunities.
And I'll just add, I think this is very important, and it goes to why I really want to come to Sloan. I remember, I think maybe at Admit Weekend, the dean really hit on, MIT being composed of 5 schools, and Sloan was one of those, and just the number of opportunities within Sloan through the different programs and then also out of Sloan. But that's something that I've definitely seen and been able to value from, and I think it just speaks to why you come to a place like Sloan. You're interested in working in teams, interested in working around innovation in teams, and I think Sloan just really lends itself to that.
Awesome, thank you. So one of the other things that's really unique to the academic experience here at Sloan is the emphasis on action learning. I'm sure you've attended other schools' information sessions, and they probably talked to you about action learning as well. This is really something that we've been doing at Sloan since the beginning. It's one of the things that MIT, as an institute, was founded around. The MIT motto, if you're not familiar with it, is mens et manus, which is Latin for mind and hand. And so that philosophy really sort of drives what we do here at Sloan, really looking to give students an opportunity to learn through action, to learn by doing, to get hands-on experience, understand sort of the real-world applications of what they're learning. And so you'll see opportunities to have hands-on learning throughout the curriculum, from the core into your electives. I'm sure some of our students and alums can talk about that. But I also want to highlight in particular our action learning labs. So these are a specific set of courses really built around hands-on project work. So there's about 15 different action learning labs that are offered each year, all centered around different topics. So you have things like the Analytics Lab, the Healthcare Lab, Global Entrepreneurship Lab, which you heard about in the video, China Lab, India Lab, etc. And so in those classes, in teams, which often are sort of from across Sloan programs or across MIT, you're working on projects for outside partner companies or organizations to help them address business problems, business challenges, and to learn through that experience. So it's a really great opportunity to get the hands-on experience. So we'd love if a couple of you could talk about any action learning labs that you did or other examples of action learning from your time at Sloan.
So I did 2 action learning experiences as well. I was at MIT Sloan, and definitely have to say, if you're going to do action learning, doing it as an MIT student is just heads and tails above any program. The way that the brand that MIT carries globally opens up so many opportunities and so many companies and governments who are willing to partner with MIT and fund the MIT Sloan teams who ask for these students. So I was able to do the Global Entrepreneurship Lab, which is a huge course that a number of students take advantage of. I went to New Zealand through a partnership that MIT Sloan has with the government's science and technology of the country, and they were able to sponsor us for 3 weeks down in Christchurch. We also took advantage of being there in January to do New Year's Eve in Sydney, right across the pond in Australia, so that was a pretty epic trip. I also did India Lab, so I had the chance to do the spring semester working with the kind of a social enterprise sponsored by a motorbike company. So we then spent 2 weeks at spring break on site. The social enterprise supported women in villages in rural areas with economic development. So we actually got to go into the bush. We had translators. We were sleeping under bed nets. We were able to meet people who had never seen Caucasian individuals, so that was just an unbelievable cultural experience for them and for us to be able to engage and make recommendations for how we can scale, help them advise about scaling up the economic development of these villages that we're trying to have more sustainability for the women, the farmers, and the families. So it was just life-changing. And again, had MIT not had those connections, my team members and I would not have been able to have those experiences.
Yeah, action learning was one of the main reasons that I wanted to come to Sloan. So when I was here, I did 2 labs and a trek and then some other travels. So the first one is actually during my first semester as part of the enterprise management track. We did the enterprise management lab. And my team was made up of 5 Sloanies from around the world, and we worked actually with Reebok, which as a sports fan was very cool. And they basically said, white sheet, blank slate, put together a brand licensing strategy for us. So that was a really cool experience. They had an immersive day on campus with them, and then they said, okay, we really don't want you to talk to any of our people. We want you to use your MIT resources, network, and understand like what is the demographics and what are the demands for this type of product. So we came back to them, presented to their head of marketing and brand licensing, and that was really an interesting experience. Then the second one that I did was China Lab. So on a team of 4 Sloanies, you spend the first half of semester on campus here, understanding what the company is that you're going to be working for, and then starting to do some secondary research and put together a plan for how you're going to solve the specific problem. And then you spend 2 weeks on site working with the company, and then come back and wrap up the project, and then ultimately deliver your final presentation to them. But our team went to Beijing, and we worked with a company called iSoftStone, and it's a really interesting time in the Chinese market. Well, it was in 2014, in that the auto insurance industry was opening up. Might not sound that cool, but we got a chance to think through like, what are some analog companies in the US that have disrupted the insurance industry, and how can you use this company's data and analytics capabilities to actually enable that? So that was an awesome experience as well. And then the last one was a study tour, and that is basically, I think it's a half a semester class, and it culminates in going to that specific country or set of countries during your SIP week, which is Sloan Innovation Period, followed by spring break. So our class, or our group of 25 students, went to Singapore and Myanmar and really compared and contrasted the 2 countries because Myanmar is in a turning point in its history that Singapore faced about 50 years ago. So we were trying to understand like, what is the potential going to be for this company? Will it choose the right path, or will other historical challenges continue to take hold there?
The other thing I'll add is that in a lot of your classes, even if the whole class isn't necessarily a lab, you'll do a lot of these components of actually working with a company or doing a project for a company. So, for example, one of my favorite classes this semester was pricing, and we actually are doing pricing for another company as a culminating project for that. So a lot of for our OP class during course semester, you're actually working with a company to go through the organizational processes. So even on top of labs, it is integrated into a lot of the other classes as well. So do just keep that in mind, that you don't necessarily have to go work on site somewhere that may not work with your schedule or your family situation. I'm also doing a study tour. I'm going to South Africa and Mauritius in March. I can't speak to it yet, but I'm really excited. And then last year I did DE Lab, which is Discipline Entrepreneurship Lab, and that was an opportunity for me to work for 4 weeks with a startup. So when I came to Sloan, I actually thought I wanted to work with specifically an implantable medical device company. I'm really glad I did that early in my career because I realized that's not what I want to do. So a lot of these opportunities are really good for to just try a lot of different things out and see what you do really like and don't like.
Thank you. And not all the action learning labs include travel. Certainly those are popular, and the companies pay for the travel, so it's a great opportunity, but there are many that work with local companies or organizations, so you're able to spend more time on site with them on a regular basis, and you can also do one of those at the same time as you're doing one of the action learning labs with travel, if you wanted to take advantage of as much as you could with the action learning labs. So we talked a lot about academics, so we were remiss if we did not talk about our faculty, our incredible faculty here at Sloan. There are several Nobel laureates on the faculty. They've written the textbooks that you're studying out of in class, but they are incredibly accessible to the students and really willing to spend time with students after class, meeting them for coffee in the cafeteria to talk about questions they might have about things going on in class, startup ideas, any other sort of anything. They'll invite you to their homes for dinner. So they really want to get to know the students, and I think going back to what Danielle was talking about, the size of the program, one of the advantages of that smaller size is the ability to really develop relationships with our faculty as well. So would a couple of you just highlight maybe a favorite faculty member or a fun sort of story about a faculty that you've had here at Sloan?
So I'm actually currently the TA for Zainab Tun in her operations strategy class, along with Don Rosenfield, who is director of the LGO program for a long time, and I'll be TAing for her in the spring as well. And it's just been a really great opportunity to get to know a faculty member who is very prominent right now in the discussion around good job strategy, and build that relationship to the point where it's sort of like a person you can go to talk about not just about the class, but about academics and her career and almost a mentorship role. So it's been a really nice opportunity.
That's Zainab right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just add a couple of things. As an alumni, I think when you go through the 2-year period, it kind of goes in a blur, and you don't take the time often to kind of stay in touch with many of the faculty. But I've pretty much stayed in touch with about 8 to 10 different faculty, and I think speaking to what she said earlier, the mentorship role, the ability to come back in and sit in a class or just talk about things that you're going through in your professional world or your personal world and how they may be able to provide some perspective or some insight to it, it's great. So, I think we'll talk more about it later, but you're here as a student for 2 years, but you're here as an alumni forever. And I think the accessible faculty piece kind of really helps that, bridges that gap, so you can take advantage of it while you're here on campus, like many of us have. And then also after you leave, it still doesn't mean it shuts the door. So it's pretty awesome.
I would definitely describe the faculty as some of the most caring people I have ever encountered in the world, even though MIT has this brand of very rigorous academics that could maybe be intimidating. These are individuals who care so much about the students and want to see people succeed and discover. So they really are accessible, and even though, yes, their name is probably also on the textbook, you can find them in their office or walking around. They have office hours, they have day teams. Every class has teaching assistants as well to help, so they want to make sure that at whatever level you can get the support that you need. And in the core semester, maybe one anecdote that I'll share, we as was mentioned, we're all kind of in a cohort called an ocean for your first core semester that you take most of your classes with. And in my ocean, we had right before the accounting class, there was a break. So one day a week we had a kind of an ocean meeting, and we would always give out these funny awards. So our accounting professor always saw us do this every week. So at the end of the semester, she came up with her own superlative awards that she gave out to the class, including the Good Morning Sunshine Award for the person who was always sleeping. So she nailed us. She got our personalities perfect, and it was so fun that she noticed those things, and she was able to participate with us. So we loved her. We were sorry the semester was ending, but she played a wonderful joke on us, and we got to continue to see her.
Great. So we obviously just want to touch real quick on career development as you think about your MBA. Obviously, as we talked about earlier, many of you are thinking about making career transitions. The opportunities and resources for career development are incredibly important as you look at MBA programs. Certainly, you can expect the full suite of resources from our Career Development Office here at Sloan. They'll work with you throughout the 2 years to facilitate the recruiting process and to do everything from hosting large information sessions with different recruiters to one-on-one advising. One unique thing that they do here at Sloan is called Career Core. So during the course semester, the Career Development Office has a series of workshops and seminars that you go through that really sort of lay the groundwork for the career development process. But beyond the Career Development Office or CDO, you also have the faculty like we just talked about, the alumni network, your peers within your class as well as the second year students. All of them serve as resources for you through the career development process. Do any of you want to talk just a little bit about sort of your career development process and some of the resources and opportunities at Sloan that helped you as you navigated that?
So as I mentioned, I transitioned into consulting when I joined Sloan. And one of the things I guess that surprised me most upon coming here is how quickly recruiting starts. So I thought, okay, I just left my job in July, like have 2 years to figure out my life, then I'll go into the career search process. That was a false conception on my part. But one of the things I will say that Sloan does that's really, really special and incredibly helpful is that they do not let any companies talk to first-year students for the first year. The first month on campus. So, I mean, coming back to school, you're figuring this out. Like a lot of us have been out of school for 3, 5, 10 years, whatever it might be. So figuring out like homework again and classes and tests and your small group teams, that all takes a little while to settle in, as well as trying to take advantage of some of the fun stuff and the clubs and social activities. So having that time was incredibly invaluable. But then once companies did start coming on campus for recruiting, I think we were in a much better position to figure out like what are we here for, what are the resources that we can call on to actually make our resume look as good as possible, or how can we prepare for these consulting interviews. So I think I was probably a heavy user of the CDO, the Career Development Office, as well as some of the clubs on campus. So for instance, for consulting, the MCC, or Management Consulting Club, is a group of second-year students that have all gone through the process. Either they interned with these companies or had previously worked there before business school, and they give you the entire lay of the land for how to approach consulting interviews and really spend like one-on-one time with you for hours at a time, going through different case examples so that you can get better at it. And then they encourage you to go off with your own classmates and practice it some more. So that was a big help. The Career Development Office, which I think is over in E51, they are always there for resume reviews. They know alumni and keep in touch with alums in all these different companies across the globe. And they're very willing to put you in touch with these people and make those connections. And I think more broadly, just the second years when you're first year are always there. I mean, there's somebody from every region of the world and every company that you could possibly think of, and people are incredibly willing to give you their time and help you prepare, because I think Sloanies are always looking to help Sloanies. It's one of our mottos. And I think actually on the alumni side, there's been a lot of current students that have reached out for either advice or I'm looking at this company or whatnot. And I think that extends forever beyond Sloan. Like, I always want more people to either come here or come join me in my companies after school. So I think that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit to the LGO program. It's kind of a unique setup. So part of the LGO benefit is there are a set of partner companies that you work very closely with throughout your 2 years at Sloan. And so a part of that is everyone gets matched to a partner company for a 6-month research time to write your thesis. And then afterwards they have very specific recruiting weeks. So most LGOs are actually off campus during the recruiting cycle, but they all come back for a week or two to do sort of like really rapid fire interviews and with partner companies. And so you're not limited to partner companies as an LGO, but it's a really great resource that's out there. And they come to campus very frequently. We have like a seminar and a lot of partner company former alums come, and you get to interact with them and talk about their experience either at Sloan or in that company.
I think the biggest resource or the best resources are actually each other. I know that she mentioned this like a little bit, but as someone who's not going into a company that necessarily someone else already exists there, I've been able to reach out to as many people as possible to figure out things as like hard skills as the finances of the company, to someone to help with some of the manufacturing pieces, and everyone's always willing to help, and I think that goes from both sides. So I came from consulting, and first semester I used to run cases like probably every week a couple of times, even though I wasn't going back into that. And I think that just speaks to the quality of people that they really filter for in admissions as well. And then also alumni. This summer was amazed by the response rate, and there's like people who would respond within 2 minutes, and I'm like, I can't even keep track of my inbox like that. And I do thank you guys for that, and I think it's something that you guys should definitely tap into if you guys come in. It's incredible, and just across all of MIT, not necessarily just Sloan.
Actually, a great segue into our final point that we want to talk about this morning, and that's the community at Sloan. And this is the community of your peers within your class. The second year is the alums. A lot of things we've already been talking about, but I think it is so distinctive to Sloan, just how collaborative, how down-to-earth the community is here. So I'll pass it off if anyone wants to talk about how they would describe the community, or the way the community at Sloan has impacted their time here. That would be great.
So I'll mention two things that we haven't gotten to touch on. We did discuss the one MIT. There's also, is it 13 graduate programs that are at Sloan itself?
7 or 8.
7 or 8, okay. So there's a number there's also a number of cross-discipline programs, the systems design management, the PhD, there's the Sloan Fellows, the executive MBAs. There's so many graduate students within, as well as the MBA program, which is the largest one, but you have this community with all of these other students who are here in different areas, and there's a lot of connection there as well that adds to the Sloan community specifically. And again, getting back to the point that there's only a 1 semester core, you have a chance to meet many of these other students who are also fantastic resources for life, for learning, for recruiting and whatnot. But also families. There's a number of MIT Sloan students who come with small children, or they end up having children while they're here. People come married, they get married while they're here, they marry each other while they're here. So there's a lot of also family resources. So if you do have a family, your entire family is welcome into this community. And again, that definitely extends into the alumni network as well. So there's the C functions on kind of, about every other Thursday or so. There's a huge all MIT Sloan party called a C function, kind of celebrating cultures. So whether it's the Brazil C function, or the China, or Korea, or Latin America, or Mexico, or USA, or there's so many themes every year that the students put on, these huge parties that have cultural dances or fashion shows. There's free beer and food, and everyone comes out, and you're able to bring your families. So those are really fabulous to see everyone and to get to catch up in a relaxed setting.
So actually one of these pictures up here is my ocean at our team building day, and the blue shirts up there, the Caribbeans. And when you come into Sloan, you actually spend a few days really getting to know your core team. You're really immersed in this experiential learning sort of team building environment, where they make you do things like climb rope ladders and trust each other and all that stuff. And it really builds a great bond with not only your core team, but your ocean as a whole. And I think that's one of the best parts of this is getting to know people in sort of that smaller group. And, for example, my core team just had dinner with each other the other night, a year plus later, and we're still hanging out, so that's really nice. And I think that these are relationships that you're going to bring beyond Sloan. I think I've been to countless panels where we've had leaders from organizations talk to us and say, the network that you build here they're the people that you refer to throughout your career, and the people you think about when I need a board member I need someone on my board for this, and let me think back to who I was at school with. And so I think it's a great opportunity to just build these relationships that last your lifetime.
I could talk forever about this. noticed this, so I'll try to keep it short. I, hands down, am going to be walking away from here with some of my best friends in life. I'm in 2 weddings for 2 of my best friends at school next year. That's actually something that I came to my admit weekend almost looking for, of just like, is that something I can find here? I know I'm really excited about the curriculum. I know I'm really excited about the one MIT. I know I'm really excited about those things. But am I going to be able to have fun there? Am I going to find people who I'm going to be friends with forever? And the answer has been hands down yes. And I think a lot of it even just starts from the way that you put yourself forward. So even before classes start, you can sign up for a pre-function trip, which is basically everything's functions here at MIT. So it's basically before you even start school. Some of the second years plan different trips for a group of first years. So this year I actually me and a couple of my friends actually took a group of 15, 16 first years down to Colombia. So we did Cartagena and Medellin, but then there was also one to like the Rocky Mountains, and then one to Nashville, and then one to Prague. We did it our year too, and those are still the ones. So I went to Mykonos my first year, and those are still some of my best friends. We get together all the time. We're doing a lot of things together. The Sloan Olympics that you guys heard about in the video as well, and I'm a culture building chair CBC for my ocean. So there's 2 of us that we basically plan different events across the ocean or within our ocean. And I'm happy to keep talking about it, but I made sure to cut myself off at 2.5 minutes.
Absolutely great. Okay, so talk about a lot of great things this morning, so I want to take a couple minutes now just to talk about the admissions process, as I know many of you are either going through it right now or about to start. So I'll just talk very briefly about sort of our evaluation process, what we're looking for, and then we'll open it up to a couple of questions for the panel before we wrap up at 9. So in terms of the admissions process, so quickly, first deadlines. So these are this year's deadlines. Obviously, round 1 was back in September. Our LGO round 2 deadline just passed. So our next deadline is round 2 for MBA in January, and then we have round 3 in April. We'll expect similar deadlines next year for the multiple rounds for those of you who are planning to apply next year. We certainly encourage you to apply as early as you feel confident in your application. There are certain advantages to applying early. We have a class of 350 students doing just the MBA. So at round 1, you have 350 empty seats in the class. At least one of those will be filled by round 2, usually a little bit more than that. And we get just as many applications, in round 2, if not a little bit more. So you're all smart and understand the math there and how it gets a little bit more competitive as you move through the funnel. The other advantage is that if you're not successful in the round 1, if you are placed on the wait list, you're enrolled into the next round, so it gives you more opportunities to get your application in front of the admissions committee. In terms of that application and the components to the application, I'll run through them just really quick here. But overall, we are looking for students who are a good fit for Sloan across a few different sort of parameters. First is academic. It is a rigorous curriculum, as other students have talked about, so we want to make sure that any student we're bringing into the program academically will be successful here in the classroom. And so we're going to look at things like your test scores, so those will be GMAT or GRE, we do not have a preference. Your academic transcripts from your undergrad, if you've done any graduate coursework, we want to see those as well to understand sort of that academic preparedness. We're also looking for students who bring in some strong professional experiences into the program. Certainly, as we talked about, one of the great things of being in the MBA program is the peers that you're with and the experiences that they bring into the classroom. And so we're looking for students who have demonstrated success in their professional experience, who've shown career progression, who've sort of exceeded expectations, who've really made an impact in their roles within their teams, within their organizations. And so things like your resume and your cover letter and your recommendations are all going to help us understand a little bit more about that professional experience and professional success. The recommendations, there are 2 that are required. They should both be professional. Hopefully one can come from your current supervisor, but we understand it's not always possible. Perhaps they don't know that you're applying to MBA programs, perhaps they're new, so that's okay if it can't be, but they should certainly still be both professional letters of recommendation. There are 2 new components to the application this year, so I do want to highlight those in case you've been talking to current students or alums. This is a little bit new for them as well. Those are the optional and the video statement. So the optional, we've always had an optional, but the goal of it has changed this year. This year, it's really only for those applicants who feel like they have some extenuating circumstances that they want to explain to the admissions committee. So for example, if you couldn't have your direct supervisor write your recommendation and you want to explain why. If your grades really tanked one semester in undergrad and you want us to understand why. Anything that the admissions committee might think is a red flag without that context, without that explanation, that's what you want to use the optional for. So if you don't have any of those, don't do the optional. The video statement is the other new piece this year. This is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the admissions committee. It's a 1-minute video, nothing fancy, just you talking to the camera. The prompt is to introduce yourself to your future classmates. Not that we will actually show it to them, but you're more than welcome to. But really, that should kind of set the tone. I think you can be a little bit more personal with it, really highlight some of the things about yourself that maybe aren't covered in the rest of the application. Use the video statement as that. We're really looking to just sort of assess a little bit of your presence, how you speak, how you present yourself, and to get a little bit more of a sense of your fit for the culture and the community here at Sloan. Based on all of that, we'll invite a subset of applicants to interview. Interviews are by invitation only and are a required next step of the process. Interviews are all conducted by members of the admissions committee. So myself and about 12 of my colleagues interview all of our applicants who get to that stage. We don't use alums or current students for that part of the process. We do travel all over the world. So if you're not local, you're always invited to come and interview on campus in Cambridge. But if you're not local, we do travel to about 15 or so different hub cities around the world, round 1 and round 2, to make it a little bit easier for you to meet with us, because we do want to have those face-to-face meetings for the interviews. Those are a great way for us to dive a little bit deeper. We'll have reviewed your application prior, so we can really sort of dive into assessing any sort of question marks that we might have from our review, and better assessing sort of that fit for the program process parameters. So I know that's pretty quick, but hopefully gives you a little bit of an insight into our process and how we do evaluate our candidates. So we have a couple of minutes left, and then I do want to make sure we stop right on time, as I know folks have to get off to work and meetings and everything like that. But I do want to take a couple questions, general questions for the panel, or I can also answer admissions questions, but I think let's try and direct them towards the panel since they're here. So are there any from the live stream you want to ask?
Yep. To the panel, what's the most surprising thing you can say you found or experienced during your time at MIT?
Great. So the question from one of our live stream viewers is about what's been the most surprising thing to you once you came to MIT Sloan?
I'll kind of tap on it real quick, and we've talked about this much, but we just talked about community, and I really think that that's key at Sloan. I got here, you get here, you start to meet your classmates, and I remember just being like, whoa, like, I get these people, like, if the admissions team did something right, so that kind of tags off of what you did. So a lot of schools, you will have an opportunity to meet alumni or current students, but maybe that kind of lends into it a little bit, the ability of the admissions community to really figure out what that fit, or make sure that you fit with your classmates. And so I think that's probably been the most surprising. What I tell most prospective students is you almost start to take it for granted that you're just going to get along with everyone, and you're just kind of gel together.
Any questions from the audience here? Yeah.
Good morning. I'm fighting a little cold, so I apologize. Too many snow angels yesterday. I'm I think an atypical candidate. Without going into too much background, I think I'm also the right atypical candidate at 35. I'd be starting at 36 next fall. Can you just share if you have any experiences with some of the older MBA students, and also any insight into how to talk about that through the application process and beyond?
So yeah.
I had a close friend who first transitioned out of the military and came at 35, turned 36 right after arriving. And so for him, it was really important that he have the 2-year experience to get an internship. He was doing a startup, he was meeting companies, he had to learn a whole new language. So he had a very positive experience. And part of the reason that he was able to, I think, successfully communicate to the admissions committee why he was a fit for the 2-year MBA versus the executive MBA or the Sloan Fellows was because of the experiential components that he wanted to have in order to take not only the right next career step after MIT Sloan, but be able to plan 2 to 3 steps out. And so thinking through, he was always talking about third and fourth order effects. He was able to make that case, and also he did a lot of diligence on the faculty, on the tracks, on the network, to really understand, again, just all the components that would make so much sense for him. So, so he did just graduate in this past June, and had 3 job offers that he was mulling over. So I'm very excited for him. It worked out.
Yeah, just to add really quick. So there's a few people in my program who do have more experience and other obligations such as families and kids and things like that. And I think one of the great things is coming in with your core team, you actually establish what are my priorities and what are our group priorities. And you have that really open and honest discussion about, do I want to spend 8 hours on this one assignment, or do I want to go home and see my kids, or do I want to focus on, this career path, and that's my priority. So if there's no, right or wrong answer, it's just about establishing those boundaries with your team and then respecting those.
That's great.